Hey everyone, Rankill here with your updated fast leveling guide for patch 2.3 and season 4. Patch 2.3 is just around the corner, and with a new patch we have a new season and the age-old question: what is the best way to level up to 70 and gear up? This video guide is more of a too long didn't read to my in-depth guide that I have posted over on Reddit. If you'd like to see the reasoning behind my suggestions, you can read the full guide, and I've put a link to it in the description below. So patch 2.3 itself brings many changes to the leveling process and early gear acquisition once you do reach level 70. In this guide I'll go into detail about the best methods to level up a fresh seasonal character using adventure mode. So in here I'll put the overall top tips to do while leveling, creating a character and what difficulty to play on, what bounties and zones to farm in, and gear upgrades to buy or craft, and what levels to upgrade your artisans. I'll also have a follow-on video on what to do once you reach 70 that will come out later, and there will be a link for that in the description below as well. The biggest thing to remember while leveling up is to keep killing and keep moving. Learn to kill on the move and have skills that benefit killing groups and killing them in 1 to 2 hits. Try and kill champ packs in groups with AoE, and don't kill trash mobs that aren't in clumps. It's okay to skip over single stragglers and move on to the next juicy pack. Unless you're playing hardcore, prioritize damage over survivability with gear stats always. You can make up for a lack of survivability by using diamonds in your socketed armor pieces, except for putting a ruby in your helm, of course, for the extra experience. Now, speaking of socketing gems, you should never pay to desocket gear. Always salvage it at the smith. Another boost in 2.3 from salvaging is that we have Salvage All now available at level 1. And furthermore, you should keep all your materials while leveling, since this new patch has removed the lower tier and combined it with the higher tier, so what you get at lower levels will actually benefit you for getting gear early on once you reach level 70. On to leveling. First and foremost, you'll want to create a seasonal character. There's a lot of people that have screwed this up, but this is something that you really don't want to screw up and then invest several hours in. Once you create your character, start out on adventure mode. Next, you're going to want to select hard difficulty. The gritty details on this are in my Reddit guide, but this is the best value for monster difficulty for XP gains. So in this video guide, there are 3 methods of leveling that I'm going to go over. Now, the whole point of this, though, still is to be aware of these 3 methods and pick what works for you and has you spending more time killing instead of running empty space. So once you get in your first game, you should immediately steal the weapons off of your follower. The Enchantress and the Templar have one-handed weapons, and the Scoundrel has a bow. And even if you stole the Templar's weapon, I would hire the Templar for solo play because his defensive boosts really do help you out with spot heals, stuns, and resource regeneration when you need it. The fastest proven method for the last 3 seasons has been Cursed Chest farming and clearing Halls of Agony. The density is always stunning in Halls of Agony levels, and the level 3 has a chance to spawn the Swarm type Cursed Chest, which awards the best XP of the Cursed Chest types. Now, monsters here also are mostly melee, they're skeletons, cultists, they're very easy mobs to kill, which is really good for you going around clumping them up and killing them. Before you run Halls of Agony 3, you're going to want to check Act 1 for cursed bounties on the map. These are located in the Old Ruins, Fields of Misery, the Spider Cave, Cathedral Level 2, and Halls of Agony Level 3. Do these first and end your run with a Halls of Agony Level 3 clear. Then start over when you reach a dead end or you reach the Butcher. Never recreate games fishing for bounties because you're really just wasting your time in menus at this point. Just start a game, look for any. If you don't have any, go to Halls of Agony 3, rinse, repeat. If you do get the Butcher quest on Halls of Agony 3, I would avoid doing him altogether if you get it. 2.3 did add a bonus chest to give you some loot for the bounty, so if you really are struggling for crafting mats or just have bad items in general and haven't gotten any good upgrades, you could do the boss run. So if you do run it, bump the difficulty down a notch just to clear it faster. Just make sure that when you recreate your game, you bump the difficulty back up to hard. Personally, I like to add looking for Clear the Hell Rift in Act 4, the entire Festering Woods as well because it's a static perimeter and dent zone and has very easy bounties to snag. I also like killing in the Weeping Hollow and doing any quests there, but I do ignore clearing the Den of the Fallen. Running the most efficient bounties, I've made a fancy reference map and you can open this up to remind you areas while you level. I've also put the link to it in the description below. If you're looking to do full act clears, I would just prioritize doing Act 1. If you want to as well, you can just follow the bonus caches and do full act clears that way. The XP gains in these then would be a little bit less than these focus farmings, but you don't have to recreate games a ton, and you have a chance of actually getting legendary pattern drops from the bounty cash rewards. In general, if you're doing full act clears, I would suggest skipping over Act 5, as the bounties are too long-winded, the mobs are more difficult, you'll hurt your XP per hour gains too, and just fuck that act. If Act 5 starts off as the bonus act, then I'd just stick to clearing Halls of Agony and doing Act 1 bounties. In 2.3, there is no longer a requirement for rift fragments to open up a rift, so you could actually start rifting at level 1 if you'd like. I would still suggest doing some bounties in Act 1 until you're level 15 or so, just to get a good baseline of skills and gear. Since rifts can spawn any mobs, any density, any map layout, you could be facing Act 5 mobs at level 1, or you could be even in a completely empty rift, so just be warned on that in the RNG, but if you're doing it, you can run rifts just from 1 to 70 with nothing else. So now that you've got the basics of what bounties to look for, how to do act clearing, or just doing rifts, there are some leveling milestones that you need to take note of as you level up, and I've included these in my reference map. Starting at level 6, each act fence vendor starts selling rings. You'll ideally want to buy a pair of rings with min-max damage and attack speed on it, but you can buy ones with just min-max damage on them. At level 10, these same vendors begin selling amulets as well, so look for the same stats. You don't need to remake games to keep looking for these, because again, you're wasting time in the menus, but just keep them in mind when you start your game, or if you go to town. The fence locations are here in Acts 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the same vendor, and finally Act 5. If you are leveling in a group, you can have one member go ring and amulet hunting while you start on some bounties, and they can buy jewelry for the group. Now that you've got rings and amulets, once you get in your teens, you'll start seeing gems drop in the game. Patch 2.3 simplified and boosted the gem tiers. Instead of having tiers 1 through 8 while leveling up, we now have condensed down into tiers 3, 4, 7, and 9. Basically, we're seeing drops that are 10 levels sooner than we expected, which is great for speeding up the leveling process. And just remember with your gems, always upgrade and keep your best ruby in your weapon early on and your second best in your helm. To save money, don't upgrade your artisan until you need them. And when you do get level 42, this is when you're going to upgrade your blacksmith to rank 10. Patch 2.3 removed the level 60 two-handed weapons that we crafted last season, so now we need to craft one-handed maces this time around, or a bow if you're a demon hunter. If you're a dual-wield class, you'll want to use your second best craft or just another weapon that you find as a drop as your secondary. Otherwise, you'll want to craft a level 60 source or mojo and do the same thing to try and get reduced levels, but really the offhand isn't as priority as it is for the main hand. Unfortunately, demon hunters get a level 59 quiver, but really theirs is just a stat stick and it's not as big of a deal as the weapon. When rolling for weapons, you want to look for a weapon with freeze, stun, fear, or some other crowd control as the secondary. Main stat is the best. Having a socket is a bonus, but not really mandatory. If you cannot craft a reduced level 1, you can go to the Mystic with your crowd control item and roll off the other secondary stat, because this reduces the pool of affixes that it's looking for and makes getting reduced levels easier. 18 levels reduced is the best you can get from a rare, so anything in the 15 to 18 range is good. Just remember to go easy on your enchants. It's about 30,000 gold to start out the enchant, and it scales up, and it's only 1,000 gold to craft a new weapon. Keep that in mind if you're tight on gold, and craft over enchanting. Once you can equip your weapon, immediately quit your game and start over in Torment difficulty. Keep knocking the difficulty down as you approach level 60, which at about that time you should be back to hard or expert. Once you hit level 61 and start getting Death's Breath, you can now upgrade your blacksmith and craft a level 70 two-handed axe or crossbow, because you've already got the crafting materials with the changes that they made. You use the same method as crafting a level 60 weapon, but this time just try and craft to get one, because all you need is 9 reduced levels and it should be pretty easy to get. At this point, you just keep on keeping on until you hit level 70. If you're following the guide, leveling to 70 can easily be done in under 5 hours, and even at a slacking pace, you'll put you at around 6 hours. And that's really all there is to it. If you have any other tips that I might have missed, you could let me know in the comments below, but if you want to know what to do once you hit level 70, I'll have a post-level 70 video in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to know when I first upload new videos. You can also try and watch me at twitch.tv/Rankle. I'll be leveling up at the start of Season 4. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in Sanctuary.